Triceratops horridus. Triceratops horridus is one of the earliest recognized forms of Triceratops and lived in the late Cretaceous period in what is now North America. It is known for its massive skull that could reach nearly a third of its total body length, supported by a strong, bulky frame. The three facial horns were thick and solid, likely used for defense against large predators and possibly for intraspecies combat. Its wide frill was solid without large openings, giving extra protection to the neck area. Fossil evidence suggests it spent most of its time grazing on low vegetation in open environments. Triceratops prorsus. Triceratops prorsus is often considered a slightly more evolved form compared to Triceratops horridus. It shows a shorter snout and more forward-facing nasal horn, giving its face a more compact structure. This species lived later in the Cretaceous period, suggesting gradual evolutionary changes within the Triceratops lineage. Its horns appear thicker and more upright, which may have improved its ability to defend against predators like Tyrannosaurus rex. The skull differences also indicate possible adaptation to changing habitats and food sources. Torosaurus. Torosaurus is closely related to Triceratops but is distinguished by its very large frill that contains noticeable holes called fenestrae. These openings made the skull lighter despite its enormous size. Some scientists argue that Torosaurus could represent an adult stage of Triceratops rather than a separate genus, but this idea is still debated. Its long, narrow horns curve upward and slightly backward, giving it a more extended profile. The skull structure suggests it may have relied on both display and defense in its behavior. Nidoceratops. Nidoceratops is a rare and controversial ceratopsian known from only one partial skull, making it difficult to fully understand. It shows unusual features that seem to overlap between Triceratops and Torosaurus, especially in its horn and frill structure. The nasal horn is poorly developed, which sets it apart from typical Triceratops specimens. Some researchers believe it might not be a separate species at all but rather a transitional or aging form of another ceratopsian. Despite the debate, it remains important for studying dinosaur variation. Triceratops. Triceratops is one of the largest known ceratopsians and lived slightly earlier than classic Triceratops species. Its skull alone could exceed 2 meters in length, supported by an extremely powerful neck and body. The brow horns were long and slightly forward curving, giving it a striking appearance. It likely dominated its environment as a large herbivore, feeding on tall and low vegetation alike. Its fossils help scientists understand the early evolution of Triceratops-like dinosaurs. Regaliceratops. Regaliceratops is a uniquely decorated ceratopsian often nicknamed Hellboy due to its dramatic skull ornamentation. Its frill is covered with prominent, spike-like structures that make it stand out from Triceratops species. The nasal horn is shorter but thick and strong, suggesting a mix of defense and display roles. It lived in a different region of North America, showing that ceratopsians evolved diverse forms across the continent. Its discovery changed scientific understanding of horned dinosaur appearance diversity. Chasmosaurus. Chasmosaurus is a ceratopsian known for its extremely large frill with wide openings and relatively small facial horns. It lived in the late Cretaceous period and had a lighter skull compared to Triceratops. The large frill may have been used for display, species recognition, or temperature regulation. Unlike Triceratops, its horns were not as heavily built for combat. It represents an earlier and more delicate branch of ceratopsian evolution. Pentaceratops. Pentaceratops is famous for having one of the largest skulls of any land animal, with an extremely long frill and multiple horn-like projections. Despite its name meaning five-horned face, it mainly had 3 prominent horns with additional projections from the frill. It lived in a similar time period but was generally larger and more ornate than Triceratops. Its massive skull likely played a role in display and dominance within herds. Fossils suggest it was a slow-moving but powerful herbivore. Anchisceratops. Triceratops is a less famous ceratopsian but important for understanding diversity in the group. It had a medium-sized frill with noticeable points along the edges and 2 strong brow horns. Its nasal horn was smaller but still functional for defense. This dinosaur lived in swampy or coastal environments where it fed on soft vegetation. Its features show a balance between defense and display, sitting between earlier and more advanced ceratopsians.